A number of issues, if we look at it specifically, including the muguka conversation. It is now a nationwide conversation, and I'd love to hear your opinions as well. So let me first welcome you all on social media at KTN News across board. At Doris Anki is my handle on X, to give me your opinion, your question on this particular matter. The one man, one vote, 1 shilling, some going further to say 1 kilometer. And as far as revenue allocation and division is concerned, do you feel a Kenyan enough in your right as enshrined in the Constitution in as far as that debate is concerned? I am honored to be joined this very evening by Abdirashid Hussein, who is an independent consultant and former COE commissioner, also former GMVB board member. It's very good to have you on the show. Do you have some muguka we can share as we discuss here? That would be a general question. I'm not sure, because having looked at your history, you went to Meru School, you interacted with muguka, you partook of it. How is, looking back, even at this conversation right now, how is it coming to you to this point? Welcome to KTN.
Thank you, thank you. The issue of muguka and miraa is really it's a sad story, because this is, it's not, it's a cash crop, yes, for those communities that grow it. But it is very detrimental to the health, the economy of the communities or counties that consume it. For example, where I come from, Garissa, and the larger northern Kenya, people have been consuming it for generations. And we have seen the effects, the negative effects, the way it has really affected families, where families have been, made poorer, where we have a lot of, families breaking up because the father is he becomes an absentee father, and he leaves his parental responsibilities to the mother, and really, the socio-economic impact of muguka and miraa is, to say the least, very bad, very negative, and it has really destroyed communities, families.
I want to use you as an experience, if you allow me.
Yes,
we're looking at all the way to 83, 84, looking back.
Yes.
You have given some very strong remarks talking about the socio-economic effects, making it look more negative than it is positive. Someone would ask, how did it affect you, if we look at your personal story, really? Or as this effect started looking more conspicuous in this 2024?
I've stopped chewing miraa many years ago.
Okay.
After I have realized there is no gain, there is no anything positive that comes out of it. Well, our brothers from the mountain, especially the East Mountain, on the eastern side, the Merus and the Embus, it's okay, they get the cash. But for those consuming this drug, it's a drug. It has been banned in the UK, in the US, even in Tanzania and many other countries. And there's a reason as to why they banned it. Yes, the Kenya government has always supported, the growing and the commercialization of this drug, simply because of politics. They have voters there who, whichever government comes in, believe they will get their votes based on that. And I will say it's not, they don't even have the numbers, to be honest. It's just fear-mongering that any government that comes in has to support, the commercialization of miraa.
All right.
Yeah.
My curiosity now comes in as far as you terming this a drug, okay, a stimulant for that matter.
Yes.
But we have Nakada.
Yes.
And it has not banned this particular, muguka, if you might say. You have constantly mentioned it is a drug, but we have this body nakada that has not weighed in on the same crop as a dangerous drug, or illegal for that matter. Why would it be in the hands of governors to do the banning within their counties?
Well, to a large extent, I believe, like many of our institutions, are compromised. I believe Nakada is not honest.
Is it?
Yes, because why will countries, developed countries with advanced, research institutions have already done this, and they have confirmed this thing is a drug, similar in the same class as heroin, as amphetamine. What is it? Amphetamine. Amphetamine, yes. Those drugs that really affect the neuroscience of the mindsets and so on and so forth. After long use, and you find that even the people who chew, men who chew, after a long period they become impotent until they stop even producing children.
All right.
Besides, and that's why mothers complain along the coast in Northeastern and so on and so forth. Even in Nairobi, in Isli and wherever other areas. So I think, to a large extent, let me say, Nakada might not be honest.
All right.
To say that.
You're talking
it's a drug, because we are talking from the real facts. Real, facts and reality. Practical. We have seen this, how these drugs, miraa and muguka, affects communities.
Would someone come up and say you're being a bit biased to the economic perspective of this particular plant, muguka, because we're seeing traders who are coming out blazing on the economic effects. They have to put food on their table by the sale of this same plant over the years. You interacted with this at 1983.
Yes, I was a student, yeah. I was a student there, yes.
And until now,
yes.
It's still on trade basis.
I think for them, it is on the economic side. I will urge those communities in Mount Kenya East to uproot those trees and instead plant potatoes, beans, and so on that can nourish, that can lead to a better, healthier nation than growing miraa and muguka that really destroys the future generations and the futures of communities in Taita Taveta, in Garissa, in Kilifi, in Mombasa, and in Ukambani. Our youth have really been affected by this miraa and muguka. And I really wish, sense prevails in those communities so that they can switch to other cash crops. They can switch to, why do they have to uproot their coffee and tea plantation and plant muguka and miraa? It's because it's a ready cash. It's a ready, what do you call it? A ready cash. Unlike coffee and tea that have to go through various, boards. For example, tea, it goes through KTDA and they have to wait for some certain period. Coffee, it has to go through Coffee Board of Kenya and so on and so forth. But muguka and miraa, instant cash. And that has really, changed the lifestyle of communities that consume this drug.
Commissioner, allow me to, of course, now weigh in deeper as far as the constitutionality and legality of this is concerned. I mean, watching from back at home, a Kenyan would ask, would you rather regulate it than fully ban it? Or do you think Kenya has made efforts enough to regulate muguka? We know we are working on stabilizing the economy of this country. We're trying to create more jobs than take from Kenyans. So would you rather regulate muguka than fully ban it as a country?
Well, whether regulation is not enough, because regulating means allowing it to a certain extent.
All right, yes.
So I'm on the opinion that it should be banned completely, so that those communities that are growing can switch to other cash crops that are healthier, that bring cash, that can, build the nation, instead of growing muguka and miraa that destroys, that kills, that is just, and then the worst part of it is they use chemicals, sprays, DDT, and so on and so forth. That really kills and affects the health of our people. It's not fair. It's not fair.
Speaking on spraying, I mean, who would do plantation and not actually spray on them insecticides that are unnecessary? Yeah. When you say that, I mean, that means it goes across all plantations, therefore. There are certain plantations like Sukuma Wiki that have also been, farmers have been cautioned against spraying anything that will poison us. I think that applies to the plant as well.
But, excuse.
Yes.
Miraa is already a drug. And then you add another chemical on top of it. What happens? So it's risky. It's more of a, danger to society. As I said, I went to school in Meru.
Yes.
And these trees were all over. And we were young, yes. But the fact is, you have to outgrow this thing. And I will urge, actually, the government, our government, to really ban the sale of muguka and miraa in the interests of, communities that have been destroyed, whose children are today have no future. The youth have been destroyed. What alcoholism is in central Kenya is muguka and miraa in the coast and northeastern. Alcoholism is destroying central Kenya, Mount Kenya. Muguka and miraa is destroying coast and northeastern, and Ukambani to a certain extent.
Okay.
Yes.
But the Deputy President has been on top of things in as far as alcoholism is concerned. Has he fully banned alcohol?
Well, he has really done a lot of advocacy work.
Not banned it?
Not banned it. But, alcohol is not like miraa. It goes through regulations and so on and so forth. Miraa, from the grower direct to the market. And you don't know who has sprayed it, how many hands have, in the process that it reaches to the consumer, how many hands has it passed through?
All right.
Clean and hygienic hands. And then the consumer just consumes it, eats it, and then they become high. No sleep. Eventually, you find they become very hallucinating, impotent, useless to the country and the economy of this country. So I urge, this thing is banned.
Okay. I want to just welcome in a very key guest, but as I weigh in quickly,